As for Don and Gilda, they explore deeper and deeper into Mama's secret chambers, finding all of the stuffed animals and toys that not only confirm that what Norman said about the adults being bad was true, but make them suspect something far worse is going on. Norman and Ray scolded Don and Gilda, but they know they haven't gotten the whole story. Norman decides to tell them the truth, and as expected, it's a lot to ask of Don and Gilda to help steal certain materials that Ray mentions in his report to Mama detailing Norman's plot. Killer Norman tells Emma he's having Ray feed Mama false intelligence so she'll ultimately be misdirected or otherwise distracted when they make their escape. During his report, Ray also learns that when the monthly shipment occurs in January, he will be the one being shipped out. His time grows short. Only a week remains until the agreed-upon date of the escape, but the kids get a bit too careless in their open conspiring, and Sister Canny suddenly pops out from behind a tree to announce that she knows everything about what the 5 of them are plotting. However, she isn't angry, nor does she threaten them. Instead, she suggests they join forces against Mama that night. Emma and Norman visited Cranny and asked her a series of questions, which she answered, but they also realized she knew more than she revealed. Meanwhile, Ray receives an instant camera from Isabella as a reward for his assistance. Later, Mama informs Crowning that she has been appointed as mom for Plant 4 and has to leave immediately. When she presents her evidence to Grandma, the high-quality kids' escape plan, it's utterly shrugged off because the kids are still under control. Grandma then asked the demons to kill Isabella.
最初から私に勝ち目などいただきます。いただきます。
I got nightmares in my head, I fear that the thoughts build up until I can't hear, that my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. Anxiety, filling up every space, no privacy, and silently, it could build and build until you finally see, whoa, it's taking over.
Calling out Ray's treachery. Suddenly and unexpectedly, she terminates their arrangement, locks them in a room, and uses her tracking device to detect Norman and Emma. When Don and Gilda see Isabella leave the house but no sign of Ray, Don races into the house, busts down the door, and freezes. Ray and the 3 of them head to Norman and Emily's location as quickly as they can. Mama encounters Norman and Emma and rejects their fake smiles, dropping the pretense that she's maintained for 10 years. She also makes a seemingly heartfelt plea for them to stop resisting and simply accept their fates. What Emma and Norman reject Isabella's ultimatum. Mama snaps her knee like a twig, then lovingly applies a splint and carries her back to the house. Later, Isabella informs a horrified Norman that his shipment date has been set. When Norman proposes, they proceed with the escape plan. When Emma is healed without him, they reject it. They tell him to deactivate his tracker with the device Ray has just completed and hide out until Emma heals. Then they'll all escape together. Norman agrees to the plan. The next morning, Norman executes his escape. After he attaches the rope, he holds a Todd as he runs up the wall and manages to grab. All of the top legend hoist himself up. On the other side, a vast forest unfolds in all directions. If they could get everyone into that forest, the adults would have a hard time finding them. When Mama finally notices Norman is not around, she checks his tracking device, and her expression makes it clear it's not working. But to Emma and Ray's horror, she smiles and closes the device, and Norman emerges from the forest. Only while atop the wall and looking over the other side could he discover the truth. There is a vast cliff between the wall and the forest of land, a distance they can't hope to overcome. Norman offers them a ray of hope by noting that the complex of farms or plants forms a hexagon, one side of which is the headquarters, where there's a bridge across the cliff. But he won't be joining them in his mind, which will be changed. The scene of Norman's goodbyes is rough. All the kids are either in tears or just barely holding back, but no one is suffering his impending departure more than Emma, who tries to give him the tracking device breaker before they part. Norman hands her back the tracker breaker and tells her not to give up. Norman and Mama walk to the gate. They reach the gate, and Mama directed him to his room. The wait, and that's the last we see of him. Emma and Ray are gutted by Norman's loss. The two of them don't seem to be able to continue on, even with support from Don and Gilda. Ray tells him he's tired and doesn't care anymore. They can do what they like. Both the little kids and Mama take note of Emma's constantly depressed state. Time passes, and the race, ship, and date arrive. Emma wakes up and finds him in the chapel. It's there that both of them reveal that they've been acting around Mama, making her think they really did give up. Ray discussed with Emma how burning the house down is the best way for them to make their escape. The former then showed Emma all the oil cans he had hidden over the past few years as he proceeded to dump oil all over himself. Scaring the wits out of Emma, Ray explained how he has been waiting for the day for him to end his life, as it would serve as a distraction for Isabella to rescue him, whilst Emma and the other orphans can make their escape. As the clock chimed midnight, the now 12-year-old Ray ignited a fire. Emma hastily ran towards Ray. Soon after, a loud scream could be heard. Isabella went after the commotion as she saw Emma lying on the ground devastatingly. Calling out Ray's name, Isabella checked her radar and noticed that Ray was indeed inside the burning fire. The former attempted to extinguish the fire, hoping that she would still retrieve the Ray's brain. When Isabella ordered Emma to escape, she turned around and noticed how she had already disappeared. Isabella used her radar once again and tried to look for Emma, only to pick up the signal of Emma's transmitter from her severed ear. In the bathroom, Emma joins the other orphans in the forest. Don enlightened Ray on how he, Gilda, and Emma had been getting the older orphans involved in the escape plan, Ray recalled. While Emma prevented him from burning and killing himself and slapped him, Toma and Lanny came into the cafeteria and had wrapped meat and Anna's cut hair and raised clothes as a decoy. Emma revealed to Ray Hellman's earlier Norman that he told Emma of Ray's plan to burn himself and prepared a counterplan for her, which meant that they were already prepared to escape. As the orphans later evacuated the house, Isabella managed to get the communication device as she stood outside the house, staring at it as it burned to the ground. Isabella started to laugh as she happily stated how she would catch all the orphans. Before Isabella could make her move, Phil appeared behind her as he tugged on her dress. The latter was shocked to see the child's presence. As the kids begin their ascent up the wall, Emma informs Ray of a change in her plans. Rather than rescue everyone tonight, she's leaving all the little ones behind and is committed to coming back for them and everyone else in the other plans before their various shipping dates arrive. That's why little Phil's with Mama as the house burns. It turns out Phil is in on it, and even though he's only 4, he now understands what it means that Norman, Connie, and the others were harvested. Anna leaves him in charge, telling him to be ready when she returns. There's another wrinkle in the plan. Ray was kept in the dark, which meant Mama was kept in the dark. They don't use the very obvious bridge to cross the cliff. Instead, Don heaves a stone across a narrower portion of the cliff, and the rope wraps successfully across a tree. He zip lines across, Siku's the other end of the rope, and Siku's the second and third that kids use water rockets to launch across. Phil also succeeds in distracting Mama just long enough so that when she sounds the alarm, the monsters are gone. For the bridge, and when she realizes they're not at the bridge, she doesn't get to their location until Emma is the last person who hasn't made the crossing. Emma flashes one last defiant look at her former Mama and says goodbye before ziplining across. In her moment of defeat, we learn that Ray is Isabella's son. In the end, Mama seems to be proud that her beloved children outwitted her. Now that they're beyond the wall and cliff, she wishes them good fortune. Take you
take you